All right, can you all hear me? Can y'all see me? So I'm currently just waving here, folks. Oh, Mr. Ben. Mr. Mike, Mr. Power Cord, can you guys see me? Okay. Go figure why it derped, but I'm going to go over the announcements that I couldn't post the links to again, and I know we'll get back to derpy here, so we'll just, at this point, that's about all we can really do. Anyway, and I'm going to keep it a little quicker so that in the second hour we can get back to our conspiracy theories, you know, get into the fun stuff. Yeah, a technical difficulty. I would say that. I'd say that pretty darn well. Next week's episode will be on that Sunday, the 4th of March. So, you know, if it works out for you guys, that's what I'm planning on doing. It'll be the same time, 3 o'clock, but it'll just be on that Sunday. It's just going to be for that week. Saturday, it's just not going to work out at all. Mike, go ahead. You can, is it a link or do you want to announce it? However, I'll allow it, but just, how are you going to present it is what I want to know. Let's just hope it isn't that. Well, okay. So I guess, like I said, Mr. Mike, I'm just curious how you're going to, how it is. Do you have a link? If you have a link, just post it in the chat and we'll check it out. I won't for the sake of the show, but go ahead and post it. Post it in the link in the chat if you wish. Go ahead. Don't post the whole letter in the chat. I will say that. Do not post the whole letter in the chat. Now, speaking of episodes being rescheduled and whatnot, I'm thinking on what I'm going to start doing is weeks that I can't broadcast on Saturdays, I'm going to start broadcasting on Fridays. Wednesday. The weeks that I cannot broadcast on Saturdays, I'm going to start broadcasting on Wednesdays. Now, those will only be about half episodes, though. So it's only going to be on paper for about an hour, but this will allow me to maybe we're just going to take these easy. Just talk about stuff that maybe can only last an hour, or, you know, maybe I'll interview an artist. We'll see. It like I say, it's just going to be a half episode because it's only about half the week, but we'll give that a shot 2 weeks from now. So the next episode will be a full episode just on Sunday, but the episode after that will be the first half one. Like I said, that's just going to be just fun. And some other announcements concerning many other things. I know I've been pretty hush about the Brony State interview. I know I posted an update on that in the website, but I'm going to get that updated right here, right now, and on the website. I talked with them last night when I was on their site watching their videos, and sorry, I forgot to mention I have a cold, so you're gonna have to forgive all the sneezing and coughing and other fun jiggling potpourri. Mr. Ben, we're still going to broadcast on Saturdays normally. It's just next week is going to be Sunday. It's just just for that 1 week. That's it. And then Wednesdays are only when I cannot broadcast on Saturdays or Sundays. But I'll explain it a little further the closer we get to that Wednesday. And thank you for the kind words on getting well soon, people. I do appreciate that. Where was I? Oh, yes. Speaking of Brony State, there's a lot of news concerning them that I want to go over really quickly. As I've said, the interview flopped. We didn't get any audio, and I know what the problem was. I didn't know it at the time, but when I found out I had no audio, I knew what the problem was. So, yeah, episode 7, I'm going to remove from the stream. And I contacted them last night when I was on their site, and we set it up so that we're going to redo the interview a little later down the road. I'm shooting for that first weekend in April. Now, here's the thing, though. If my schedule, I've got a bit of a schedule set up here for Babble with Bronies. My schedule's going to be going 3 interviews in a row, if that's the case. So, my question is, do you guys want 3 interviews in a row, or do you want me to break that up? And I might, wait. I suppose I need to remember how many Saturdays are in March, but I'll still just say I'll keep that in mind. Oh, Mr. Ben, no. It'd be one episode would have an interview, the next episode would have an interview, and then the episode after that would have an interview. But like I said, are you guys okay with that, or would you rather I don't? Would you rather I try and break it up a little bit? I can't break up the Brony State one. That's going to be the first. Okay, I'm liking that you guys are liking that. And like I said, I might need to double check how many Saturdays are in March. So we'll see from there on out. But if you guys don't mind that, that's fine. If there is a break in there, if there's like, say, I get the 2 interviews, and like I said, there's one in particular that I'm on shaky ground, I need to contact the guy. Yeah, that's just it. There are 5 Saturdays. 2. So that there would be a break there. Okay, so there is a break. If that's the case, then it's no problem. There would be probably 2 interviews in a row, followed by a normal episode like this one, and then the Brony State interview. And that one will go down that first weekend in April, and I will make darn sure that thing is recorded with sound so that they get what they deserve, and that is recognition. But we'll get there when we get there. Speaking of Brony State, yes, there is some Brony off news, but I want to stick to the Brony State interview for now. When I was speaking with them last night, I also asked them what I could discuss on this show concerning announcements of theirs. If you were there during the live interview, you might remember that I never got around to asking them what I could and couldn't tell about them. Well, I asked them, and they said, and I asked for anything on the newsletter and the next week's movies. They don't. Well, Mr. Mike, you have to remember that you guys can at any one time ask a question and, um, speak with them. That's the purpose of this show. I'm always hoping that you guys pop in with questions when I interview people. Anyway, they've got a bit of a sad situation at hand here, folks. I know I've already posted this one, but it's worth posting again. One of their own, a former admin or mod, I think it was a mod, goes by the name of Octavia. Apparently she's fallen on some hard times here and could really use some money. I've already donated $5 to this. I hope you guys can find even some spare change to donate to her. Sounds like she's on the brink of homelessness, and just any little bit will help her. They said their goal was $500. I wouldn't be surprised, given the brony community, if we could meet and exceed that. Just keep her in your thoughts. That's all I'm going to say to that. On the lighter side of the news for Brony State, next week's A movie is Raiders of the Lost Ark. The B movie is Machete. So, it's the B movie. If it's the one I looked up on IMDb, looks like it's just going to be a good, fun, balls to the wall action movie. Be there. The first pony episode is Green Isn't Your Color, and the second one is Luna Eclipsed. So there you have it. One of the things I never got around to, another piece of info I need to announce. You may have noticed Mr. Ben has a % sign before his name. He is now a full member of Babble with Bronies. I hope you welcome him and treat him with the same respect you do me. Actually, I hope you treat him with much better respect than you do me, because I don't know. I'm messing with you guys. Also, you might have noticed some changes to my website. I've introduced the rule number 9, which was also known as the 20-minute rule. If you weren't here in the beginning, I'm glad I finally got around to getting that out. The 20-minute rule is, if I have to leave for whatever reason, say a fire drill, or say the power goes out, if I am not back after 20 minutes, the episode is canceled, and we'll just pick up and regroup from another time. So that's the plan of that. There was one other thing. Oh, check out the appreciation, the people we support page. I got a couple of people up there. It's just Brony Off and Brony State right now, but hey, good people to support. I already support them. Mainly it's because I've interviewed them, but still, I don't think that excuses it. Check it out. I've got links to just about all their sites. Hard to miss them. And with that, I think we'll dive into most of the content now. I'll spend 20 minutes, or let's get to Derpy. I know a lot of you are, I know a lot of people want to talk about that, so let's open the floor with Derpy here. For those of you who don't know about this, let me get some of these links set up here. I know I've already sent some of these out, but this is the news concerning Derpy. Here we go. We've got for those of you who might have noticed, iTunes has taken episode 14 down. They took it down, and just last night, apparently, they put it back up. Now, when I heard this news, I was on Brony State, and this was about 10:30 at night. So could only look so far into it. But apparently, they changed Derpy. Her voice is different, and her eyes are underped. It's only for it's only for the extended scenes, but yeah, you notice it. And all I have to say to that, folks, is it's just awful. However, there's some good stuff. There's some good reactions I've seen from all over the web. Our own Brony Mock created this little video Let me try and get that. Yeah, they even took her name out. Let me just state for the record that I don't like the revise at all. I do not like her voice. I do not like the fact that she has underped eyes. And if you notice, anyone else kind of get the hint that even Rainbow Dash's line was a little fudged? I know that, and I know that, you know, they had to re-edit it and remove the name Derpy, but still, it just, this only kind of leads me to one conclusion, folks. I wouldn't be surprised if it's just iTunes itself that made the change. That they are the ones who, they requested it. They got someone, I don't know, someone to fill in the names of, or fill in for Rainbow Dash's line and Derpy's line. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. The only thing that I can say for certain is we have yet to see a reaction from Hasbro. Now, I will say there's a reaction from this employee. He goes by the name of Kraos on, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, Kraos on DeviantArt, with this letter about Derpy. Check it out. Long story short, the best, in summary, Derpy, at least in appearance, even with the derped eyes, is safe. But, no, Kraos, not Kratos from the God of War series. But, anyway, so it sounds like her appearance thus far is safe, but her, but whether she has any future speaking roles is, of course, the question. All I can say to this, folks, is just two things. Let's pretend for a moment that it is iTunes and iTunes alone that changed things. If that's the case, don't buy season or episode 14 from them. It's going to be a little weird, but just try and get it from somewhere else. I have not purchased any of the season 2 episodes yet. And I'm going to sneeze again. Excuse me. I'm sorry about that. Anyway, as I was saying, don't buy episode 14. I have yet to purchase anything of season 2 just because I like to wait for it to go on sale. But even if they don't change it, and you're like me and you're looking for a bargain on the entire season, I might even say don't even purchase season 2, much to my everlasting regret. Let them be aware of that. Let them be aware that you're not tickled by them changing episode 14. I haven't had time, but I might just drop by on iTunes and write a little report to their revised episode 14. And of course, I know I won't be the first, and thank God I won't be. Mike, if you do that, I applaud you even more so. Let these people be aware that we, the majority of fans, are not tickled by this at all. And we will take our money somewhere else if they so blaspheme such a way. Perhaps maybe not the right word, but if they are so going to do just that, that's wrong. Just so wrong on so many levels. All right, a couple of other little things I want to go over. They done messed up. That's a good way of putting it, Mr. Power Cord. I know I already went over the new episodes. I want to get 21 and 22 out of the way because we didn't get a chance to do 21 last week because, I wasn't broadcasting. Check this out via Pony Leaks. Season 2, Episode 21, Dragon Quest. Sorry about the cold, folks. The show must go on. Spike joins the Great Dragon Migration to discover his true identity, but it might not be what he really needs. I'm curious what that means. Sounds like it's going to be an origin story, folks. And if that's the case, I'm all for that. I want to see this stuff. I want to see where he comes from. And I wouldn't be surprised if this answers that. And also, from the same source, Hurricane Fluttershy, Season 2, Episode 22. Fluttershy needs to overcome her self-consciousness in order to help Rainbow Dash and the other Pegasi with the rainy season. Sounds like it's nice they're giving Fluttershy some more episode time. And I know, especially for a lot of you Fluttershy fans who are, this better late. I'm just going to say it right now, better late than never. Let's watch as her terminal cuteness kills us all. Sorry. All I gotta say is I'm looking forward to that one. Mr. Power Cord, that's a good question. I'd like to think that she will. How she's going to sorry. I think she will. Why would you get rid of her personality? I think she might display in the future some more bravery, some more, trying to get out a little more. But I think overall she's still just going to be the shy little Pegasi we all know and love. I'm not too scared about a major shift in personality. Shoot, I don't even expect that out of anyone, no matter what the case. Oh, and speaking of some changes and whatnot, are you guys aware of the schedule change for the new episodes? Apparently, they're going to start. Here's a source. You can also check it out. Via Brony State, and it's a blizzard and it's 65 degrees. Mike, are you from Minnesota? I gotta ask because, trust me, Minnesota, it gets blizzardy. It can be blizzardy and 65 degrees outside. I am not kidding. Fair enough. Anyway, back to the topic at hand here, folks. I've seen strange weather, trust me. I know exactly what you're talking about, Mike. Back to the topic at hand here. I found this out via Brony State, via their newsletter. But this must be where the source itself came from. And you can even check it on any TV guide site and whatnot. Anyway, they're going to be broadcasting episodes at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So, this is good news for, as the article puts it, this is good news for the people on the West Coast. So now instead of getting up at, 6 o'clock in the morning, they're going to be able to get up and the episode will air at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Wow. Getting up at 6 to watch the new episode. Of course, don't they schedule that around such a thing? I always thought they did. Maybe I'm just crazy. But anyway, speaking of Brony State, since they broadcast the episode, I've gotten They said in their newsletter they're still going to broadcast, and it won't affect them in any way. So they're still going to broadcast. If you watch from Brony State, you should be fine. And I have a hard time believing other sites will have too much trouble adjusting to it, let alone any conflicts as of right now. So just keep that in mind. I know that Brony State explicitly stated that. And on the... Oh, I think I can squeeze this one out. There was apparently there's a guy going around named Dr. Patrick Edwards. Have you guys heard of this guy? He Mr. Ben, even if I can't stream the show, I don't have the hub. So even if I did have the hub, yes, I would stream it on here, but I cannot. Oh, Mike, you met this guy? Well, what's he like? I gotta ask, because you remember how I said I'd have one of those interviews in March? Well, this is one of the guys I'm looking at. Hate to bring such a spoiler here, but yeah, I'm thinking of talking to this guy on here. Fair enough. Yeah, there was another little piece on him that I can give to you. He was apparently interviewed... Stupid thing. He was apparently interviewed about this. Check out this interview. Typical statistician. Trust me, I deal with statisticians on a daily basis. Then again, that's why I love them, but that's just me. But I'll keep that in mind. I'll keep that in mind if he comes on this show. Check that interview out. I read it. It's got some good points. I can't recall everything. The only thing I recall is he doesn't call himself a brony, but only like a pro brony supporter or something. It's just to keep his objective view. I can admire him for that. I can. But what I'm curious about is, will he call himself that when the show is over? Or not when the show's over, when his study's over. Who knows? Who knows? Ah, linear regression. That fun stuff. Well, I'll be getting into contact with him sometime next week about setting it up for a much later day. Our mission is clear. Make him a brony. I salute that, Power Chord. And what else do I have? I guess that's about it in terms of news, unless if you got... I know some of you saw the that older article on what the season finale, the season 2 finale. It'll be a 2-parter with a song and whatnot. Here's a link. Don't go spamming him. I don't want to be known as the guy who interviews him, who asked him, "Hey, why aren't you a brony?" And not in a objective way, a mean way, meaning, yeah. So I like the idea. Did I misspell it? Let me get that up. I hate it when it does that. There we go. It's clean now. Sorry about that, folks. Anyway, check it out. The only thing I want to bring attention to on that is just the season finale is a two-parter with a song. Now, this brings into question that email from a long time ago where someone on the foreign side of Hasbro, you remember when they just introduced Shining Armor and Princess Cadence? They talked about keep an eye out for episode 26, 27, and 28. Well, let's for a moment ask. I want to ask, so 27 and 28 are the finale. If the yellow dot around my mouse, that comes standard to point it out. Anyway, episode 27 and 28 are our finales. What this brings to question to me is, so what of episode 26? Is it going to be a standard episode and maybe at the very end they leave us with the cliffhanger to say, stay tuned for the season finale? Or is 26 just... Or is he just trying to promote it or something? I don't know. It just calls into question some things. I think we're just gonna have to wait and see. Oh, by the way, they've been throwing the new episodes out here. The synopsis. Are we gonna get a Scootaloo episode here, folks? Because I'm with some of the folks on this one. We need a Scootaloo episode. Something to explain her. And we've only got, let's see. Let's pretend that episode 26 has nothing to do with the finale. Then that leaves us just four episodes left. How can your friends hate Scootaloo? I mean, sure, my favorite CMC is Sweetie Belle, but it doesn't mean I hate Scootaloo. To their own. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yes. I guess that's about all I've got for the news. I don't even have... I've got some lighthearted stuff, but I think I'll save that for the end. And so let's get started with the meat and bones of the show, shall we? How many of you guys have a good conspiracy theory about the show and whatnot? So this is where we're going to discuss theories and some ideas that we have that the show has yet to answer, but we can keep a grain of truth to it. Now, when I say conspiracy theories, they have to have a hint of truth to them, or they have to have a seed to them, like Smarty Pants. And yes, I'm going to lay that one to rest here, folks. Anyway, so it's not necessarily a what-ifs thing. Speaking of what-ifs, I'm debating if I want to make that a full episode or a half episode. But we'll get there when we get there, all right? Anyway, I'm going to start off with Smarty Pants. So, as I've said time and time again, we all know what happens at the end of episode 3. Now, so how and if are they going to resolve it? Are they going to resolve it at all? And if they do, how? Because episode 17 has thrown us a curveball here. We've got Twilight Sparkle's doll. We've got Ms. Cheerily at the ending of episode 17 giving us that they've got like I said, Cheerily here is basically the biggest thorn in the side, that the biggest thorn of this idea. Is it just going to be a simple he returns that doll and they all go about their separate ways? I don't think they're going to start a relationship with Big Mac and Twilight. I just don't think that's going to happen. And speaking of Big Mac and Shirley, do you think you guys think at the end they paired them or not? I like to think that, me personally, I like to think that they did. But, it's of course unclear at this point, but I'd like to think that. Like I said, if you guys have any, throw them up here, please. But finishing up on Smarty Pants here, I've been hearing some folks say that it's more of a, yeah, I'm with you on that one, Mr. Ben, that they left it fairly ambiguous, the ending of 17. So that's just it. It's pretty ambiguous. But personally, like I said, I like to think that they put them together. And I don't know, maybe we'll never see it, but doesn't mean I can't enjoy the idea. A comic pairing of fan and shipping. Interesting. Mike, I like that idea. We'll just have to see. But anyway, finishing up on my Smarty Pants rant here. I've heard people say that it's more symbolic, that it's just if Big Mac is the brony community and if he's the brony community and Smarty Pants is the show itself, we picked it up with love, without any spells. We just picked it up without love and ran with it. In a symbolic sense, too. Both a symbolic and a literal sense. So, yeah, my final conclusion is it's kind of early to tell. But I'd like to think that at some point that they will. I'm hoping they resolve this, folks. Power cord. No, I wouldn't say that. Partially, and the reason being behind that, yeah, it's a spell thing, and I figured that's what you were referring to, and but the reason I disagree with that is because the spell was only intended for the Cutie Mark Crusaders, so it wasn't a. So the fact that everyone else fell for it was just more of an accident, and maybe that's what they were implying, was this whole thing was an accident. But the spell itself and the crowd reaction was an accident. But at the end, when it's all said and done, some of them will leave, but those that choose to stay, Big Mac, pick it up and run with it. That's just my thoughts on this, people. I guess my final conclusion is I hope it gets resolved. I hope that Twilight gets it back, or somehow, some way this gets resolved. However, if they the only other potential would be is in this comic that I saw. Basically, Twilight. Okay, Mike, we can talk about Derpy. Yeah, conspiracy doesn't have to apply just to the show. It can apply to out here in our world too. So, Mr. Mike, so you want to shoot? You can. What do you have to say? And Mr. Ben, to answer your question, if they concluded off screen, well, that's their. If they want to resolve it that way, they can resolve it that way. Again, I hope they don't. But anyway, Mr. Mike, you were saying? Don't forget, folks, if you want to call in, you can call in. Just check the bottom of the screen and make sure you're wait for or make sure that you check everything. That's what I'm trying to say. I was going to say, I figured you were typing, Mike, so I'm just kind of stalling here. Oh, that's good. I can get a quick one out of the way while you type, Mike. No, not that one. Fair enough. Just some water, Mr. Ben. It's about all I have to drink in here, which is fine, but yeah. Always contains water, folks. If I had some AJ in here, that would be... Maybe that's what I should do, is just some Applejack and guzzle that. Alright, I can get a... Speaking of AJ, like I said, I'll get a quick one in, Mike, and just keep typing whenever you're ready. Speaking of AJ, what of her parents? And I mean, her mom and dad. How do I want to start this one? Okay, we'll go with Mike's. Okay, Mike. Yes, that was one of her intended things. She specifically stated that. Is there more to this? All right, I'm gonna carry on here with a. Yeah, I assume he's still typing. Well, here's the thing about... Keep typing, Mike. I'm just going to make a comment on that. You can... All of these characters are more or less archetypical at some degree. However, you kind of have to start there before you can start fleshing them out. So, yes, episode 1 is going to have them exactly that. So we get and that's the purpose of, well, a story. It's to, well, maybe not necessarily a story, but that's what makes this show, these characters in particular, so good, is that they fit some archetype. And I say archetype as opposed to stereotype because I find these more archetypical than stereotypical, but to each their own. Anyway, most characters are gonna start somewhere, and heck, take any character. Take any character in any story, and you basically can boil them down to some character archetype or stereotype. Plus, archetypes, I'm not going to start that again, but you can boil most of these down. And, okay, you've got some more here. Part of the problem with Derpy is she's a background character, and of course she had her big debut in episode 14, halfway through the second season. I agree that if they were to take her and show her, I don't know, maybe if they were to portray her in a better light, I agree with you 100% there. That'd be a fantastic way of dealing with her. However, it's kind of like, how do I want to put this? I suppose the best way I can think of this is the damage is already done. For lack of better terms here, the damage is already done. So to try and rectify that is going to... because they've already shown her, they've already shown the original voice, and they've already, yeah, what Mr. Ben is saying here. It'd be as if I went into. I'm just trying to think of a good scenario here. Imagine if I went into somewhere, hit some guy with a baseball bat in the gut, came back and, no, better yet, if I went somewhere, broke a guy's arm, came back a few days later and apologized. Sure, I can apologize and get forgiveness for it if the soul is so willing, but the damage is already done. His arm's going to be broken until it heals. Hey, I'm just trying to think of a scenario here. This is why I created this show, was for good dialogue like this. And I like what Mike is saying, that portray her in a better light, show that she isn't some klutzy, semi mentally challenged character. But I never got that out of Derpy, especially the mental problems piece. But again, you have to look at it from their end too. They're going to put her back on stage, especially with a speaking role, is risky. In this, considering the reactions we have seen, it's risky. To put her back on stage, especially in a speaking role, and let's pretend that they keep the original voice. Or even if they change her up, even if they change her up completely to match the new revised version. To do that, someone is going to say, oh, there's Derpy again. And this is one of those vocal minorities that have been protesting against her. They're going to be saying, oh, it's Derpy again, or it's that pony again, the mentally retarded one. We got to go bananas and start complaining. And of course, if they clean her up, well, what's that going to do to us, those who are pro-Derpy? She is, and Mr. Ben, I'm liking where you're going with this. And I agree. Taking her out of the show is, I don't think she's going to be going out of the show, not one bit. So, okay, Mr. Mike, you have the stage here. That who okay yeah, as I was saying about if they change her, that might appease the I'll just reiterate that'll appease those who don't like her original voice and appearance. That's going to tick off the pro Derpy folk like us, who are going to go, why did you do that? To put it nicely, of course. Okay. But see, folks, this is why I created this show, was to have some decent dialogue, some decent debate, just like this. And so I got to thank you, Mr. Mike, for doing this. Mr. Ben, yeah, I have to agree with you there. Power cord, yeah, there's no solution that's going to make everyone happy. But I just wish that the people who were complaining against Derpy, original Derpy, I just wish that they would have the decency. And of course, that's just it, is I'm expecting decency out of people with a reflex reaction, which isn't there. Sorry. That if they were to, even for one moment, take a look into it, how, well, they do say her name, so just search Derpy. If they were to, they would do any semblance of research and realize where she came from and why she got a speaking role, they would think twice. I would hope so. I would hope that they would say, so that's why she has crossed eyes. So that's why she's a little silly. But like I said, that's expecting people to be smart enough to research this stuff. Which, yeah, right. Not everyone is. So, okay, Mike, you have your you have the floor here. I think the best way of putting it, yeah. I think the best way of putting it, Mike, is we've got some moral guardians out there thinking that either the mentally challenged or a female blonde stereotype, as Mr. Ben put up, or something like this. Either way, someone somewhere out there thinks that the whole world needs to be protected from this, which is just makes me sick. It's one thing to protect your kid from this stuff. I, honest to God, don't care what you do for yourself or for your kid. But to think that everyone needs to be protected from this is ludicrous. It is complete bogus. Complete garbage, too. Yeah, Mike. Mr. Ben, I'll address your notion here in a second, but Mr. Mike, yeah, I agree with you there. Changing Derpy is... Yeah, that's basically it. It's that... I elaborate on that last piece a little bit more, Mr. Mike, because I'm going to probably say something here that deviates, not derives, deviates greatly from what you're going to be saying here, but you're right. Change it up. What does that say? That those who are, and I'm not going to say Derpy's mentally challenged. I'm going to say she's klutzy, because there is a difference for people. I'm going to say that, what does this say? People with strabismus? Derp dies anyway. With people with problem eyes and who are clumsy, that apparently need to be censored from society. Yeah, that's a good lesson to teach the kids. Even if, yeah, they might not be aware of it entirely. And shoot, I wouldn't be, thank you, strabismus. That, yeah, that's a good lesson to teach them. That just says there's no character to them, as you're trying to say here, Mr. Mike. There's no character to them. They only just need to be protected, to be sheltered from all of society and treated special or something. Brilliant. That's just brilliant there, folks. As opposed to what Mr. Mike here is saying, she might be, and you know, as, power chord, that's just it, is you're either normal or you're not. Now, Mr. Mike, you keep saying about fleshing her out, and I'm liking that. She might be clumsy, she might have strabismus, or strabimus, I'm sorry, I keep pronouncing it wrong. She might have crossed eyes and klutzy, but that doesn't mean she is unproductive or, a problem. Shoot, in that scene, I got nothing but she was trying to help. Wasn't very good at it, but she was trying to help. And isn't that the only thing that... Shouldn't that be trying to teach a better lesson to kids? That maybe someone, even a normal person, might not be able to help entirely, but... So it was strabismus. I was right. But even for normal people, that if they... Just because they might not be able to help entirely doesn't mean they need to be excluded. And even if they can't help in, say, even that one spot, that doesn't mean they're completely useless all around. So, yeah, Mr. Mike, I like where you're going with this flesh her out thing. But I would love to see that. I don't think there's anyone in this fan base who would love to see more derpy, especially more speaking derpy. I think we would all love to see that. But it's like I said, the damage is already done. So that's the biggest obstacle here. Now, as I stated earlier, this is just, I've only seen iTunes and just iTunes do this to make that change. So this could be just iTunes making this switch. And if that's the case, we only need to be mad at iTunes. We've got that email. I know this one's a bit of an older note, and I can't, I honestly don't know. I tried looking for it, but I can't find it. There was that email sent not too long ago saying that Derpy was fine from some higher up in Hasbro, or it was in their foreign department or anything. I would love to agree with you there, Mike. I really, really would. But that's suggesting that everyone is forgiving, that everyone can be swayed by even one thing, and unfortunately there isn't. Sorry about that. That's just the sad fact of reality, folks, that there will always be Mr. Power Cord, you bring up a good point here. They threw a fit over her actions in the last roundup and not over feeling Pinky keen. I'm going to throw the dice at either it's because it was so short a scene, and yeah, I think it had to do with just that one variable. She spoke. It'd be one thing if she had even the voice, the edited voice, then maybe we wouldn't see too much, or we wouldn't be in this debacle. But yeah, that raises a good point. Why are they making it such a debate over this in season 2, episode 14, than as opposed to her first derp-eyed appearance post episode 1? It just... Sorry about that, folks. I'm with Mike on this one. I don't know the answer to that, and I wish I had an answer for it. I really do. But Power Cord, you bring up a good point that needs to be brought to everyone. Why now? Why all of a sudden? It's moments like these that you make me... It's moments like these that you wonder why I'm such a cynic, people. So I've got a few more conspiracy theories to throw out there if you guys, maybe they're just trolls. Well, Mr. Ben, if they, to get rid of the derped eyes is to get rid of Derpy herself. That they're supposed to be there. There's a reason that even if let's pretend for one moment that I like this new voice, that I like the new voice that they put on iTunes. Let's pretend for a moment that I like that. Now, of course, I'm speaking from my perspective, but I'm just playing the devil's advocate here. Let's pretend for a moment that I like that voice, but I notice they also get rid of the derped eyes. That'd be like getting rid of the streak in Twilight's mane. You know, the little less purple streak, or getting rid of getting rid of Rainbow Dash's colors in her mane. It just doesn't work. It's just part of who they are. So that's all I'm going to say about that, is to get rid of her derped eyes is just, it gets rid of a physical piece of her. Exactly. It's a part of her character. And that's just it. Is they could have put any other pony in there. You know, they just use any background character, but I like to think that this was based on just after that episode aired, that someone in the staff, I don't even remember who, it was someone who worked on that scene, one of the animators, I think it was. They said, they intentionally threw that scene in there with Derpy because they love us. They wanted to say, we're going to stop putting her in the background, and we're going to put her beyond that. She's no longer just the scripted background character that we all know and love. She's now become a scripted character herself. But of course, we get this unnecessarily stupid situation that we have before us. Exactly that. Derpy is a symbol of the bronies. She was created by, I think it was Kraos there, that letter from the guy who worked on there, from his DeviantArt page. He said something like, she might have been just a fluke, just an animation error in episode 1, but of course, much like Doctor Who's, which I want to get to him in a second here, we took that and we ran with it. We said, hey, she sticks out like a bit of a sore thumb here. The crossed eyes in particular. But why don't we do something about that? Why don't we make her a character? Make her something, as opposed to just an arbitrary background pony. And of course, when you have a show intended for little girls, drawing a huge fan base from somewhere, from the opposite side of the world, older men and even older women. I'll say older women, but particularly the older men, and especially as many as there are. When you have these people out here, she, and Mr. Powercord, I agree with you on that one. We took her and we made her something. And of course, the creators of this show, they could have ignored us. They could have easily said, so we have this community. Whoop-de-ding, we're just going to still do our job. And Mr. Michael, I'll address that in a moment here. We took her and we made something out of her. And like I said, the staff could have completely ignored us. Just said, no way, we're not going to address them, or if we do address them, we're just going to say, they exist. They just exist. But the staff said, no, we like that we have this fan base. We like that we have these people who who are the should nots and should never have been, being the R's. The fact that we are a fan of this show. And, we've seen hundreds of thousands of times them addressing how much they love us. And, of course, as I said earlier, they put Derpy in that scene because they wanted to say, we not only know you guys exist, but let's throw you a bone that's far greater and far better than I was going to cough there. I'm sorry. Stupid cold. We have, like I said, they said, let's not put her in the background, especially after a 2-episode absence. We would have cheered the fact that Rainbow Dash addressed Derpy. I could tell you right now that they could have just said, now careful Derpy, and that would have been the end of it. We all would have still squeaked and went. But they did the one thing, the very one thing that would have made that scene legendary, even immortal. They had her speak. And there wasn't a brony that day who didn't cheer. There was not a brony in the world that day who was not proud to call themselves one. And the staff knew that was going to happen. They knew that they would love us for it. And we love them for that. But, like I said, there are some people in this world who think that everyone needs to be protected. Can't believe I thought I got rid of that. There are people in this world, like I said, who think that we need to be protected from this kind of stuff. That they think, as opposed to themselves and, if anything, their kids, that, like I said, everyone needs to be protected from stuff like this. They need to, that the unable must be protected from the able, and the able must not interact at all with the unable. It just baffles me. And yeah, I'm watching the chat here, folks. You can promise that. Now, Mr. Mike, you said, what was it you said? For thinking the damage can't be repaired. You're dealing with a pessimist here, so you're just going to have to bear with me. We've already made history. I can tell you that easily, that we've already made history. But to repair damage of this magnitude, it's tricky. I hope, and I'm going to tell you guys right now, you can take this to the bank. Next episode, I'm going to be talking about Derpy, the situation again. I can just about put this drink on it. But what was it I was going to say? Oh yeah, I'm going to be talking about her next week. But until we hear confirmation from Hasbro themselves, and I would love to think that they will. I hope that the situation I brought to light was true. That we are going to see. Mr. Ben here is. Yeah, I like what Mr. Ben put. There's always going to be something to. Someone's always going to find something to screw up. It's just a hard fact of reality here. And I wish, like I said, Mike, I hope that you're right. I hope that somewhere far down the line we see an improvement. I would love that even the moment after I end this show, this episode, I should say, that Hasbro comes out and says, she's safe. it was just iTunes that wished for to change it. And I'm hoping that my idea was correct, that it was iTunes itself that wanted to make that change, because unlike, say, Hasbro, they were getting more complaints, or they don't have the full support of, say, the brony community behind them, or something. I don't care. The point is like I said, I hope it's just iTunes who's made this change. Because if that's the case, then you only need to focus your anger on that place. And I wouldn't be surprised, given Hasbro's current track record, that they come out with something that they don't. I wouldn't be surprised if, like I said, sometime during the week, we get some word from them, whether it be someone on the European side or on the American side. You can just about take to the bank that someone will respond from there, and I'll be reporting on this, and we'll be probably chatting about it as well. But I don't mind. Like I said, one thing I said about this show, you guys present a subject that deviates from the subject I'm presenting, and we talk about just that, I can work with that. I'm just fine with that. Let me get a drink here. So if that's all we have to say about Derpy, then I do want to move on to another topic. Shoot, we might just have to all our conspiracy theories here, Mr. Power Cord. That's what we were talking about. We were talking about conspiracy theories, things that, like I said, I'm thinking of saving the what ifs for another day, but conspiracy theories. So they have a hint of truth or a hint of potential truth and how you think it's going to resolve it. Like, say, Smarty Pants. Or, as I'm going to be bringing up here, Doctor Who's. He's much like Derpy, except of course, he has yet to speak. Yet being the key word here. I'm so hoping that in episode 20, it's about time that we see him either in that tie again, or he gets an actual speaking role. I'm getting kind of excited here, folks. That we see him deliver that letter and say something like, "Here you go, Miss Sparkle." And of course, it has to be in a British accent. If it's not in a British accent, I am going to get so angry. Well, I just hope they make it a British accent. And yes, I want to see... I don't think we'll see a TARDIS, but I hope that we see something that... could potentially be something. I was discussing this when we did the interview. There was Lord Celestia. He was on here. And was it him or someone anyway? I said to this person, it could be something like a red barn that it's not a TARDIS, but it could be implied to be a TARDIS-like thing. Now, here's the reason I wanted to bring up Doctor Who's. Ooh, if he's holding us... Yeah. I'd love that. I'd love it if he was holding a screwdriver. Yeah, that's just it. Is you can only... There's only so far you can go with this character. Yeah, you guys are right. There's only so far they can go. I'd love them to take it as far as they can go. That would be awesome. But oh well, you can't always win in that regards. I mean, see, read it and weep, for crying out loud. That was supposed to be Reading Rainbow, but there already was that show, Reading Rainbow, and can't have any copyright infringement, which is understandable. There's just one thing I want to address about Doctor Who's, and that would be his cutie mark. We all know it's an hourglass, but here's my conspiracy theory about this. What if... Now, we first see him, of course, in Winter Wrap-Up. So he's not... he was at the time just an arbitrary background pony. What if... And this can go to the other characters with the hourglass cutie mark. What if that cutie mark is was nothing more than the animators saying, I'm trying to sound nice here, we can't think of anything, so we're just going to put this on them and just, ship them out. They have all the requirements, a cutie mark, but, we can't think of anything, so huzzah. So this is why you see it on, say, Colgate, which I know I would love it if they could call her Colgate, but there's another one that I know that will never happen. Yeah, Mr. Powercore, that's exactly what I was going to, is we ran out of time. Now, if they were to put that on Colgate and just Colgate, yeah, they did, Mr. Ben, that saved the important characters. Background characters just get random cutie marks that are just arbitrary and random. Which I can't blame them, because to come up with a unique one for everyone, there's an impossibility. But anyway, back to my Doctor Who's theory. Or conspiracy theory, I should say. So, yeah, we ran out of time, but I think the biggest mistake they did was putting it on a brown male earth pony, or a brown male pony with spiky hair. If it was a little longer, they probably couldn't have gotten away with that one either. Warning folks, I'm going to be turning my Doctor Who fanon on here. So if you aren't familiar with the show, I apologize. The sole fact that we have this pony with an hourglass cutie mark, time, who looks just like the 10th Doctor, who in the later who in the early part has to I've been watching some of the earlier 10 series. It's just messy, but you get a little further in, it starts to become spiky. There becomes a little mohawk. So, what does that say? Or better yet, what's that going to say to the fans, who are both pony fans and Whovians? They're going to take that and they're going to run with it. And I'm glad, this is one of those instances where I'm glad they ran with something, where they took something and just took it to the next level. I love that they did this. Not just because I'm a Doctor Who fan, but just because I think that's really cool. And this is why there's this, I was going to get to that, Mr. Ben, as well. The Super Speedy Cider Squeezy 6000, that was confirmed as a reference. That one was just that. It said Doctor Who's is confirmed as a background character. But if you look even earlier at Season 2, Episode 9, take a look at, there's this picture going around. I'm not going to find it because it's going to take time that I don't have and don't want to blow. But anyway, that's going to take, they're going to, if you look at that party, there's a picture floating around where it labels some of these other characters with the hourglass cutie mark to some of the other doctors. At that party, the garden party, we saw, who was it? 3, 5, and 11. And of course, there's 10. And I saw an updated picture of that included 8. Apparently, 8 was in the Sonic Rain Boom in the background there. But the point I'm trying to make is what started as an arbitrary character, not supposed to become something. Well, once again, the fans grabbed onto it and ran with it. And so now we have yet another fan-made and fan shout-out in episode 15 character. Yeah, Mr. Ben, that's a good point. I don't know what to say to that. I hope that was intentional. I hope that what they did there was just as you said. They said that intentionally put those two together because that would be awesome. So it'd be Dr. Who's delivering the letter and Derpy's right behind him. Yeah, I'm just looking too much into that. And that's all I really have to say about Doctor Who's. There was one I was getting to earlier with Applejack. So where do you think her parents are? Where do you think she is? Or what do you think of her parents? Personally, I almost want to say I hope they're dead, because there is the potential of character development is astronomical, and the potential of episodes are Mr. Ben, your red text. Because like I said, the potential of character development out of AJ would be huge. However, that might be a little too dark for a kid's show, and I thought about it. I'm not too sure I like that idea that her parents are dead. Yes, I just realized Batman here, folks. Anyway, that's just it, though. I kind of like what Mr. Ben is going with. Or, I'm sorry, Power Chord. That they're just they're travelers. To where and to what, I don't know. But, yeah. Sono Tentai, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Yeah, she lives with her grandmother. So, what does that say? It's up for debate. And I hope that Mr. Mike popped into existence. Odd. It's an odd, but I like it. My parents are dead. There, you got it, folks. Where was I? I hope that gets resolved one day. Shoot, I hope all of them we see their parents. But, because we've got Twilights, Pinkies, and Rarities. Why would you just stop dead right there? Thank you, Mr. Power Chord. I appreciate the kind word. Who knows? I guess that's about all I can really say about that episode, that point right here is we're just gonna have to wait and see. But like I said, I hope they. Okay, Mr. Ben. Yeah, I only listed those that we have seen: Twilights, Pinkies, and Rarities that we've seen their direct parents. I should stress that because yes, AJ's Granny Smith would be her grandmother. Fluttershy's Rainbow Dash and not that door. Rainbow Dash and who's the other one? I know I'm missing one here, folks. Fluttershy, Rainbow Dash. We've seen those three. I'll be out here, people. Concentrated Rainbow and Davita's cuteness. The point is I hope we see them. I hope they flesh them out. But I can understand at the same time why they wouldn't. Oh, it was. I'm more curious, like I said, I'm most curious to see AJ's, but I think the next one I would like to see is, we've seen half of them. Why would they just all of a sudden stop? Especially considering that Rarities were just supposed to be, mind you, just a plot device, but they just threw him in there. They can't do that with the others? Power cord, we'll get to that in a second here. Hey, I could, a family reunion. It's not a bad idea. I mean, Crime in Italy, they did it once. Okay, Mr. Power Cord, I wanna get to your point here. What of Scootaloo, or at least, yeah, what of her and what of her parents, or whatever you wish to bring up. This is miserable. White and pink, and well, white in particular, of course. And yeah, I've seen pink and green marshmallows for Easter, so a family of marshmallows. I give him credit. I give you credit, Mr. Brand. I like that. That's pretty darn creative. Mr. Power Cord, what did you wish to bring up about Scootaloo? Now, I know what flubber is. I think if we ever get a Scootaloo episode, I wouldn't be surprised if her parents are revealed. Because, well, yeah, they... I hope they do. I hope they flesh out her. I hope they flesh her out. But that's just it. You'd first have to assume that Scootaloo would get her own episode, which we have yet to see. And it's not like she's just a random background character. No, she's an actual bit of a main character here. But I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere down the road she gets her own episode, because if Sweetie Belle can get it, why can't Scootaloo? Mr. Ben. And I have a hard time believing that that case would be the case, Mr. Ben. Take care, Power Cord. So overall, like I said, I'm hoping that I have high hopes that they'll flesh her out, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. I hope that in season 3, if they don't do it in season 2, I sure do hope they do it in season 3. But at this point, all I can really say is just have to wait and see, folks. You guys got anything? Any other conspiracy theories you want to bring up? So I got a couple more here. All right, Mr. Ben, if you got one, if it's... All right, well, we'll be wrapping up here shortly, folks, anyway, so if you've got a quickie one, we'll wrap it up here and whatnot. What do you mean by hero of a... What do you mean? What do you mean exactly, Mr. Ben? Yes. So, I think I get. That makes me mad. Oh, Lord. The tire, eh? What of the tire? Equestria is a post-apocalyptic Earth. Well, that would explain a lot. It certainly would explain far more than perhaps it should, but mutant magical horses who rebuild the society from the ashes of humans. That certainly would explain the video games and some of the electronics. Oh, that tire. That tire. I wouldn't be surprised if, from a metaphysical perspective, that tire was just junk. You know, the animators just threw it in there as random junk. But let's pretend that that tire really was underground, that existed. If Equestria was some post-apocalyptic Earth, I'd buy that. It'd be weird, but I could buy it. Of course, how would you explain the magic then? Don't give me the magic line. All right? No. Okay, maybe radiation is magical. Yeah, I do remember that, Mr. Ben. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if that's just the cast screwing with us or something. Who knows? Who knows? If nanobots equal magic. Okay, I could buy that. Well, maybe, but maybe it's something like, maybe magic is like the Force, the classical Force. It's just there. It's like some mystical energy that is a binder. Okay, fair enough. We might have to bring this episode into the next one, folks, because there's just so much gold here. And by the way, it's been the 2-hour mark. It's a good point, Mr. Ben. Or, of course, we just kill each other, but who knows? So overall, folks, it's up for debate. And I think, unfortunately, I'm going to have to cut us off here, but would you guys hate it if we continued this in the next episode? Because I've got some ideas for the next episode, but it would just be a normal one. So if you just want to continue this chat, if you wish to continue this chat in the next episode, tell me yes, continue it. And I am so writing that down. All right. Then Next week it'll be part 2 of our discussion, and I do not hate that we are doing this, not one bit. So next Sunday, part 2. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for coming. I wish you the best. And this is Everlasting Joy signing off.